So
Yeah,
first of all, I welcome you both in this virtual info session for the Ohio State University with Scindia School, Gwalior. My name is Nupur Anand. I take care of digital marketing and School Connect. Along with me, I have my colleague Afsha Aziz. She takes care of School Connect and student recruitment. So starting with this university, from the university, we have Mr. Marco Chavez, who is currently working as Senior Assistant Director, Skilled and Recruitment, Admission and Orientation for International Students. The school which we have today is Scindia School, which is one of the oldest school of India and most prestigious school of India. And from this wonderful school, we have Divya Verma, who is currently working as career guidance counselor. She is skilled in recruiting students to international and national universities, educational leadership and development, teaching and higher education, and career counseling. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to give you a quick brief about Uni Bridge as well. We work as exclusive recruitment arm for universities. We are supporting universities through tailored student recruitment services like media planning, building network, direct sourcing channel, in-country representation, lead management, and other support functions. That's it from my side. Now, I would request Marco to take this forward from here and give us an insight about the university. Over to you, Marco.
Hi, Ms. Divya. Thanks for spending this evening with
Hi.
us.
Hi, Marco. How are you? Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Yes, of course. On the contrary, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, to learn more about Ohio State. Um, it's very nice to meet you. I'd like to introduce you to Ohio State. So as Ms. Nupur mentioned, my name is Marco, and I've been with Ohio State for a number of years now, working almost exclusively with international students. I've been to India a few times, never to your school, unfortunately, but hopefully that
but
in the future.
sure, in the coming months for sure.
Yes, yes. So Ohio State, if I can get this presentation to continue. Okay, there it is. So have you heard of the term Buckeyes, Ms. Divya?
No, no.
Okay, so you've heard that universities in the US, we have mascots, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So maybe the Michigan Wolverines or Oregon State
Yeah.
Beavers or Washington Huskies. The Buckeye is actually our mascot here at the university. So we use it a lot, and I'll be using it in today's chat. So I want to make sure that you know what it is. So back in when European settlers were moving into the Ohio Valley, they would see this nut on the ground, and the nut looked like that image that you see at the top image there. And so it's a dark nut with a little white part. And they named it a buckeye, so the eye of a buck or the eye of a deer. And so from that, the term spread. Eventually, when Ohio became a state in 1803, the legislature adopted it as our state tree, our state plant. Eventually, when the university was founded in 1870, we adopted it as our mascot. So nowadays, we're known as the Buckeye State. The mascot of the Ohio State University is a Buckeye. And because you really can't have a little nut going around, as a mascot, this guy that you see at the bottom of the screen, that's Brutus Buckeye. And so that's typically how we display our mascot. Yeah, here at the university. So that's what we're Buckeyes. Now, the Ohio State University, as I mentioned earlier, was founded in 1870. We were founded as an agriculture university, but at the root of everything that we've been throughout all these 150 years has been a research university. So we're a research-intensive university. We're one of the top 15 research universities in the United States. And in regards to research funding, we're second only to Duke University. And so a lot of research is going on our campus in all academic areas. Everything that you can think of, from agriculture to zoology to everything in between. So with all that research that our faculty are doing, that provides a lot of opportunities for your students if they want to get involved with research or with hands-on learning. So I think that's a great benefit of coming to the Ohio State University, that every single student will have the opportunity to participate in research if they want, learn from the best minds in their field. And also we have an office called the Office of Undergraduate Research that helps students get connected to research. So let's say you have a very bright student who comes and they're interested in doing research on a sociological issue, but they don't know how to get started. They need some guidance. They could come to this office and get connected with a faculty mentor and get started on that project. So we would guide them through that. So we have that as well. We don't just expect students to go off on their own. And please, if you have any questions at any time, don't hesitate to let me know. In regards to other things that students can get involved, so I already mentioned research. We have a lot of student organizations. And so students can get involved with our student organizations, whether that's a cultural organization or a service organization. It's opportunities for them to join, participate in activities, become maybe a vice president of the organization. And then throughout all of our majors that we offer here on campus, we have internships and co-op opportunities. So any student in any major can do that. Also, obviously, your students, by coming to the US, they're studying abroad, right? I've got a picture there of students in Delhi at the Taj Mahal. But even though they're studying abroad here in the US, they can still go to other places to continue that study abroad experience. So let's say you have a student interested in art. If they want to do a semester in Milan or in Rome studying Roman art, they could do that. If they want to go for a year to Argentina, they could do that. So those are also other experiences that are available to all of our students here on campus, no matter what major or where they come from. For high achieving students, we have honors and scholars. So honors is what you would typically hear about at other institutions. It's more challenging classes, it's smaller class sizes. They have an opportunity to do a research project and finish off their graduation diploma with a research capstone. That's what honors is, and it's very competitive. Scholars is another great program. It's not as competitive, but it also requires an extra application to get admitted. So scholar students are students who are interested in a subject, but are not necessarily majoring in that subject. So for example, let's say you have a student who is a mechanical engineer, and that's what they're studying, but they are interested in the environment. They might join the environmental scholars program, where they live with a group of other students for the first 2 years, and they're exposed to environmental issues through field trips, through speakers, that sort of thing. So those are two great programs for students who are more academically curious or higher achieving students.
Okay.
And then Ohio State University is a very large university, right? So a lot of times when students come to us, they might feel lost. They might feel like they have a place. So we want to help every single student find their fit. So we have a program called the First Year Experience Program, which is nationally, here in the US, nationally recognized as one of the best programs to help students acclimate and make that easy transition to university life. So first off, all first year students are put into survey classes. And these are classes that teach them things like how to navigate the university, how to find the resources that are available out at the university. And then we continue that through the second year with the second year transformational experience program. This program helps students then get connected their second year to faculty, start a project. Faculty would visit them in their residence halls in a small cohort group. So we want to make sure that your students, when they come to Ohio State that they're successful. We're not just satisfied with bringing students to campus, but we want to make sure that once we do bring students to campus, that they succeed academically, especially. I've spoken a lot. Do you have any questions so far?
Marco, I'm waiting for the whole presentation to be done, and then I have few of my questions, and I think it will be good if I don't disrupt you in between, not to disturb you, and then I'll speak at the end. Would that be fine?
Sounds perfect. Yeah. So I've talked about Ohio State like with the assumption that maybe you knew where it's at, but just so you can see, we're in the city of Columbus, which is in the state of Ohio. We're the state capital of the state, and we're considered in the Midwest of the United States, although we are closer to the East Coast of the United States. Have you been to Ohio, Ms. Divya?
No, I've not. No, I've not been.
Okay. But our campus is in Columbus, like I mentioned. Very large campus, as you can see. This is an aerial view of part of the campus, and everything you see on here is the campus. So as you can see, it goes on and on. Yeah. So we do have 61,000 students on our campus. About 11% of those students are international, and about 700 students are Indian citizens. And although it is very large, it is still very navigable. So we do have within the campus bus routes. So we have bus loops going around. So students, for example, if you look at the buildings all the way at the top of your screen, if that's where they live, but they have class in the building you see all the way towards the bottom of your screen, they could take a bus to class that, it's one of the loops that goes around. And through our Ohio State app for smartphones, they could actually track the buses so that they're not waiting outside, and whether it's winter in the cold or it's hot in the summertime, they could see like, oh, the bus is 3 minutes away. I'm gonna make my way downstairs now to wait for it so I can go to class. So that's an option as well. Although it is a very nice campus to walk around in as well. So I mentioned we're in the city of Columbus. Columbus, Ohio, it's a city of about 2 million people. So it's large enough to provide everything a student would want in a city, but it's not so large that a student would get lost. So it's definitely not your Mumbai or your Delhi or any of those large cities. I think it's more like a if I had to kind of equate it to an Indian city. So there's a lot going on within the city, and everything that's going on within the city is an opportunity for your students to also get involved in, whether it's festivals, athletic events, great shopping venues, the state legislature. So all of these things that are going on in the city, we want Ohio State students to take advantage of. We actually have a program, a great partnership between the university and the city called DTICS, where students can purchase tickets to events happening around Columbus for a discounted price. So just to give you an example, let's say myself as a staff member, as a citizen of Columbus, Ohio, if I want to go to watch the official Major League Soccer team in town, my ticket's going to be about $40 and higher. But if a student wants to go through the DTICS program, they can purchase their tickets for about $5, maybe at the most expensive end $10. So we have this program to make the city accessible to students so that they can enjoy everything outside of the city, outside of the campus.
Great. That's nice.
So I'm going to transition to the application process and then what happens next once students begin applying. So our application requirements are actually very straightforward. All we require are 4 things. So the application, which we are on the Common Application, We require their secondary school documents. We require, so for 2021, we will not require SAT or course.
Okay.
Those students will not need to submit those. But we do require proof of English language proficiency as well.
Okay.
So really, for students entering 2021, 3 of the 4 things on here. So very, very straightforward. And then once students actually submit the application and it comes to us for review, we employ what's called a holistic review process. And so what that means is that we're looking at everything that was submitted and trying to make the best decision possible. So we're looking to see what types of classes they took, how well they performed in those classes, what the grade trends were, whether their grades were going up or whether their grades were going down. We look to see how well they wrote their essay, what activities they were involved with. If you decide to include a letter of recommendation, we read that as well and take that into consideration. So these are the sorts of things that we keep in mind, that we take into consideration as we make our admissions decision.
Yeah.
And then to give you an idea of the type of student that we admitted, this past year, this gives me an idea. Most of the students that we admitted were in the top quarter of their class. So again, we're looking for high achieving students. Although we won't require test scores this coming year, this gives you an idea of the types of tests that students submitted who were admitted this past year. Now,
it's 1320, I believe, correct? SAT?
Yeah, it was a 1320 to 1440 is the middle.
1320, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then in regards to how much it costs to attend Ohio State, tuition is about $35,000 a year. And then students are required to live on campus their first 2 years. So you would add the cost of room and board. Health insurance is mandatory as well. So those are the costs per year to attend Ohio State. When students first apply to Ohio State, international students at least, they are not eligible for merit scholarships. But once they've kind of proven themselves their first semester, they are eligible to apply for scholarships through their academic departments. And depending on the department and the student's achievements while here at Ohio State, these scholarships could go from a few $100s to a few $1,000s. So those are options through their first semester. In addition to that, Ohio State has been ranked by the Wall Street Journal as having one of the best education programs in the U.S. in terms of providing a high quality education and a good value for its money. So we're recognized for that as well. As you advise students who may be interested in Ohio State this fall, if interested in being considered early action, which means that we will let them know of a decision by the end of January, or if they're interested in honors or scholars that I mentioned earlier, or they're interested in engineering programs, they should apply and submit all required documents by November 15th.
Okay.
They don't care about honors or scholars, or they're not engineers, or they don't mind waiting until March for a decision, then our deadline is February 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to get all decisions out to students by the end of March, and then we give them until May 1 to accept our offer. And then our classes typically begin in August. So for example, this year, our classes begin August 25th.
Okay.
And that concludes my formal presentation. I'm leaving out my direct email address and my direct phone number should you have any questions later on.
Please let me note it down.
Okay.
And then I have a couple of questions so that I can, and the number is 6.
As you're writing that down, most of your students most of your students, do they go to the US or to the UK or any specific country?
Marco, my students, they go to US, UK, and of course to Canada and Singapore too. And thank you for sharing the SAT range 1320 to 1440. My first question would be, say suppose if my students, when they start shortlisting universities, so which is the program for which Ohio is known for? Can you give me any specific program you think is for which in particularly Ohio State is known for?
Yes. So I mentioned that we're a research intensive university. We're also a comprehensive university. So depending on who you ask, we're known for different things. If you're speaking about international students and you're speaking with students from India, we're known for engineering programs.
Yes, because I have lots of engineering students.
Yeah, and for math and physics. If you're speaking with other international students from other countries, we're known for business programs.
Okay.
If you're speaking with students from Ohio, we're known as a great medical university. We're known for our biology programs, psychology, all those related social sciences. And then if you're speaking with students from outside of Ohio, but still within the US, we're actually known for performing arts like dance and music. So we're known for a lot of things. It just depends. Yeah.
And I believe, as you said, that for international students in the first year there are no scholarships, but I think going forward they have scholarships from second year. What kind of academic performance is looked at? I mean, any specific percentage number? What exactly is the criteria for giving scholarship from second year onwards?
It's really their grade point average, so their grades. And you know how we have a 4-point scale grade point average? They should try to have a 3.5 out of 4. So this is mainly A, maybe a couple of Bs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. That's great. And what about the co-ops? Can students go for co-ops from first year or from second year? Because I think they help manage finances also a lot.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Students can go for co-ops. Typically, students go after their third or fourth semester. Most students do their co-ops during the summertime, but there are students that do it during the school calendar year as well. And students sometimes do 1 or 2 co-ops. And so, yeah, that's definitely an option. What's unique about Ohio State is that every academic college has its own career services office. So for example, the College of Education has a career services office, the College of Engineering has a career services office, and these career services offices are the ones that help the students find placement in companies and in other places around the state, the world, the country. So yeah, they would definitely get help in finding those co-ops or internships.
Great. You were talking about a partnership with the city. I'm sorry, I was not able to understand much. Could you please explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So by the partnership with the city of Columbus, I mean that a lot of times projects that the city works on, they seek our help either through advisement of our professional experts or professionals. Yeah, or vice versa. But this specific partnership that I mentioned is called DTICS, where the city helps us provide cheaper tickets to students to experience things in the city, to experience things like plays, concerts, athletic events, festivals for a reduced price. So that's a benefit of being an Ohio State student.
Yeah. Regarding admissions, Marco, I just want an opinion in terms of how much weightage an essay has, a good essay, in while selecting a student or not selecting a student.
It has a good weight. It really depends on everything else, though, right? So if the grades are excellent, if the types of classes the student's taking is excellent, a very involved student, then the essay just kind of confirms that. That if the essay is good. If the grades are not good, the opposite type of student, everything is poor, and the essay is poor, it confirms that as well. But I think the essay makes the most impact when it could go either way, right? So if I'm on the fence and I'm thinking, I don't know what to do, it's usually the essay that tips it one way, tips it the other way.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Because, this is one area students usually face a lot of challenge writing a good essay and what to really write into that. So that's a big challenging question for the students most of the time.
Yeah, and I actually do application essay workshops. I've done them all around the world. So if you needed for me to do a workshop for your students, I'd be happy to.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll definitely write to you to figure out a time that is suitable to both of us so that we can work that out.
Perfect.
So are you also planning virtual summer schools or any such program wherein students are engaged in the university life, or some lectures by some professors? Because I have from a few other universities, not from US, but specifically from Australia, they have a series of master classes going on right now. So are you also planning something similar? I would definitely be interested to join that.
Yeah, we actually are not planning something like that soon. Once things, so kind of switching to a different topic. Once things open up, though, we hope to begin once again implementing our counselor fly-in program. So I think that's even better than something online. That would be something in person that we'd be happy to invite you to.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So regarding, as you shared, for 2021, you would not be looking at SAT, but say SAT has always been very important. But strictly from the perspective of an admission officer, if SAT is not there, then how are you going to compare students? What would be the most important thing after SAT?
So even now, when we were requiring SAT, it was only a part of the overall application. So an SAT score wouldn't decide the outcome. It would be a combination of all the above. Moving forward without the SAT score, I think things will be a little bit easier, to be honest, because it won't be that one thing that kind of sticks in our head where we really like our student, but then maybe the SAT score is a little bit lower. It won't be that thing holding us back. So I think it'll be easier actually to evaluate students because it'll be one less thing that we have to consider. Are you a member of the CIS?
No, I am not.
Okay, because I was gonna say on Tuesday, CIS is actually hosting a webinar on test optional, on universities that are going test optional, and how that will impact reviewing student applications.
I would figure out on net and probably try and join that because a lot of confusion going on regarding SAT, and because definitely some students are going to take up SAT. So are they going to be, I mean, would they be, that be advantageous to them vis-a-vis the students who have not taken SAT?
Well, so on the application, we will ask students, do you want us to consider your test scores? And students have the option of saying yes or no. So even if they send us the scores and they say, I don't want you to consider them, we will hide that when it's time to review the application. Now, for students who say, yes, I want you to consider my test scores, I think the advantage is that it's one more thing, one more point of us to consider. So it's one extra thing that we can think about as we think about the decisions.
But someone who has not done, doesn't have an SAT score would not be looked at as someone who has some disadvantage in the overall competition.
Not at all. We will not look at students without test scores with a disadvantage, or we will not look at them any less.
Okay, any less. That would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah.
And for 2020 batch, what do you think it would be possible for them to fly to US and Any rough estimate? What do you think is going to be the scenario in the coming months?
I don't think anybody will be able to fly to the.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I think all students that have been admitted to U.S. institutions, maybe to other countries as well, will not
yeah.
be able to fly this fall.
Mhm.
But depending on the university, they will be able to take online classes from the
Yes,
university.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. So we're currently developing our online classes, and we should have them all developed by the end of July, so that students have that option if they want it.
Yeah.
They could also take a gap semester or a gap year as well.
Yeah, and for 2021, SAT is not going to be there, but is it too early to ask that question? Probably that how are things going to be in 2022? The SAT policy is going to be the same, or SAT is going to come back? Is it a trick question? Sorry.
No, it's not a trick question. Um,
Yeah.
I I laughed because I was having this conversation yesterday with other
Okay.
colleagues that once a university goes test optional, it's very,
Hmm.
very difficult to come back to require a test score.
Yeah.
So Ohio State, our administration has said only 1 year we're test optional. But in reality, if you look at trends over the past 20 years, nobody has gone back to requiring test scores. So who
Hmm.
knows?
I swear, I think not a fair question on my part to ask you that. But I think, in fact, my students have been quite excited because the moment they got to know that no test scores are required, they've been quite excited about that prospect, actually.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So I think I'm done. I'm thinking, and thank you. I got all my answers, and I have your email ID, and I look forward to be in touch.
Perfect. It was a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so
Same
much.
here, same here. Thank you for your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Divya. Divya, I have one
Thank you.
request to you. Please give us some insight about the school. I'm sure Marco would love to know.
Oh, sure, sure. Very briefly, I would like to share that we are one of the oldest schools in the country. We were founded in 1897. And in the 2019 ranking of boarding schools, we were ranked number one in India along with the Doon School. And we are an all boys residential school. We have CBSE board, and like all boarding schools apart from academics, we emphasize on extracurricular and sports, and our boys have very good profiles, and a good number of them go to US, UK, Canada, Singapore, and very honestly, we are looking and very eager that our boys make it to the good renowned names in the US. So yes, our focus is very much US in the coming years.
And do they tend to study any specific subjects, or is it just all types of subjects?
Yeah, we have no, we have see in the CBSE pattern, as I'm sure you must be aware, we have 5 or 6 subjects in class 11th and 12th. So usually we have science, means physics, chemistry, math, biology, psychology, a good humanities department we also have, wherein we have geography, and then we also have a commerce department wherein we have business studies, accounts, and these subjects. A good number of my students are looking for engineering degree, so that is why I asked you about the program. And then we have a very good chunk of students who go for business management programs. So these are the two programs wherein the majority of the crowd gets distributed, either for engineering or STEM programs, or for business management and accounting and finance kind of things.
Okay, perfect. One thing to keep in mind is that at Ohio State,
Hmm.
students can go into any field of study, regardless of what they took in secondary school. So, for example,
Wonderful.
if you have a student in the commerce stream that in their final year, as they're thinking about university, they think,
Mhm.
I don't think I want to study commerce in university. If they want to do engineering, that's fine. They can apply to engineering program.
Really, that's wonderful.
Yeah, or if they want to do humanities or something else, that's fine too. We just want to see that during secondary, they challenge themselves and that they perform well.
A lot of my students have commerce, but they do not have maths in their combination. So would they be able to do any business management program at a undergrad level at Ohio?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, great,
yeah,
great. Because usually this creates a little problem to me.
got it. Yeah, no, definitely they can study whatever they would like to, as long as they've challenged themselves in secondary.
That's wonderful.
I guess, Divya, you don't have any other question, right?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
So maybe in future, if you want to contact Mr. Marco, you have his phone number and email ID as well.
Yeah, sure, sure. And thank you very much for sharing that. And it was really a very wonderful experience talking to you. And I would definitely be sharing this with my students and perhaps and have a one session of yours with my boys too.
That would be wonderful. It was a pleasure to speak with you tonight.
Same here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nupur, and thank you,
Thank you,
Aksha.
Divya.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you, Divya,
Thank
for
you so
joining.
much.
Thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
You
Good
have a
day.
good day, and
Bye-bye.
Divya, you have a good night.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Take care, both of you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.